Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You know there is a thin line between admiration and sycophancy. Question this evening is, has the Indian Railways crossed that line by naming the intercity metro train service in the country after Prime Minister Narendra Modi? On a day when the Prime Minister landed in Gujarat and flagged off the first Vande Metro service in the country between Bhuj and Ahmedabad, it's the debut, a big controversy broke out. Why? Because the Indian Railways decided to rename this Vande Metro service to Namo Bharat Rapid Rail. Essentially, they've named it after the Prime Minister. Now, the opposition has hit out at Prime Minister Modi, calling the name change yet another self-obsessed act by the Prime Minister. Listen in to some of the reactions coming in before we proceed further.
You can keep renaming one train, you can keep renaming cities, you can keep renaming projects. But the reality is that train derailment is happening almost every day in this government. Is this how insensitive, is this how brazen you really are? You're so busy in making reels that you care two hoots for the Indian Railways. The Prime Minister and his real minister are way too busy changing names, making jumlas, instead of looking at the core problems of Indian Railways.
What the greatest achievement of the BJP government is, new things are coming up. There is a change of many things. First, they changed the parliament building. Then they changed Ahmedabad as Prayagraj. Then they changed the names of the three criminal laws into Sanskrit names. Now Port Blair was changed to Vijayanagar. Now that these were names given by somebody else. Now they are changing the names which they had given. Vande Bharat is the name given by this government. I don't know what kind of administration they are doing. They should do something which the people welcome.
Now, we do need to remember that a few years ago, Ahmedabad's refurbished Sardar Patel Stadium was renamed to Narendra Modi Stadium, drawing a pretty similar response. Now, while the Congress is trying to paint this as self-glorification by the Prime Minister, the fact remains, and this is something that the Congress won't like, that a 2013 RTI report revealed that a staggering 12 central and 52 state schemes, 28 sports tournaments and trophies, 19 stadiums, 5 airports and ports, 98 educational institutions, 51 awards, 15 fellowships, 15 national sanctuaries and parks, 39 hospitals and medical institutions, 37 other institutions, chairs and festivals, and 74 roads, buildings and places were named after Jawaharlal Nehru, Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi. In fact, both Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi were awarded Bharat Ratnas while they were prime ministers. An act of self-glorification that arguably transcends the Prime Minister's own renaming spree. Even Mayawati, if you remember, was infamous in unveiling grandiose statues of herself. The late Jayalalitha, you must remember, unveiled a slew of welfare schemes such as the Amma Canteen in her own name, all with an eye on electoral votes. However, fact remains that one of Narendra Modi's principles throughout his rise to power was to shun the politics of self-glorification. So the question this evening is, has the Prime Minister now fallen victim to the trappings of power? My guest this evening, Anurag Naidu, is a political analyst joining us on the broadcast. Will be speaking on behalf of the BJP. Tehseen Poonawalla continues to be with us, political analyst, and Sujata Paul is spokesperson of the Congress party. Sujata Paul, good evening. Thank you very much. Welcoming you to the show. Problem kya hai? As the BJP is saying, hypocrisy की भी सीमा होती है.
गुड इवनिंग श्रेया। हिपोक्रेसी की तो सचमुच में कोई सीमा ही नहीं रह गई है और हद की भी वध हो चुकी है। और आई डोंट मीन वध हो गई है, मतलब बहुत ज्यादा हो गई है। But the fact is that the Prime Minister is showing how weak he is. Today, if you heard him speak in that rally in Gujarat, he was only talking about how he is being targeted, when the fact is that he's targeting everybody else. and he has been making a spectacle of himself with the kind of speeches he gave during the election campaign in the run-up to the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. However, when we talk about this renaming, where was the need to rename it? But of course, you remember the NaMo app and Namo, that is Narendra Modi. That means this is his self-obsession, which is coming to the fore, and it is also showing that he has become so weak that he knows that he is going any day, especially in light of the fact that Mr. Nitin Gadkari has also started talking about how there are people who want him to be the Prime Minister. So it's not just about the Sardar Patel Stadium having been renamed, but the self-obsession being brought to this stage, especially at a time when we have seen in the last 1 year, in fact, in the last 100 days, if you see the number of train accidents that have taken place, 38 train accidents and 21 people have died. So this is 100 days of Mr. Narendra Modi's third term. What does this prove? That instead of bettering the systems, you are trying to rename, to digress and divert. If you remember, just a couple of days back, the Hatkeshwar flyover was in the news because people could not use it from 2022 onwards, when it was actually opened in 2017. Why? It is in Ahmedabad. It is the model of
Sujata
the Modi
ji.
government, and that is the truth of it. They are
Okay.
not
I
proper
understand.
accountability.
But I am, my question to the Congress was simple. If Jawaharlal Nehru and Indira Gandhi can give themselves the Bharat Ratna, question is, why can Prime Minister Modi not name the intercity metro, which is a great project, after him? Now, do I agree with any politician doing that? I don't. But again, I'm saying, when the Congress says it, is it hypocrisy? Anurag Naidu, would you want to come in here? Zarurat kya hai?
I want to
Prime
correct you.
Minister Modi all along has criticized.
I want to correct you here, because this is disrespect to the first president of the country, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, who had decided that then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru should be given the Bharat Ratna for the way he had brought together the European nations, which were, literally at war with each other. So for his peace efforts, this was done, and he also apologized later for not taking anybody on board. So are we disrespecting him by questioning why the then Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru had got the Bharat Ratna? And my final point is that are you going to take this as an excuse?
And Indira Gandhi?
That's some kind of an excuse.
Okay. Anurag Naidu, is that an excuse? कि उन्होंने अपने आप को भारत रत्न दिया था तो मैं भी अपने आप को भारत रत्न दूंगा. And if that sounds a bit too much, कोई बात नहीं, let me rename the intercity metro into Namo Rapid Rail XYZ.
Well, I fail to understand, Shreya, like why do you have to compare something like a highest civilian award, the category, a national award, a national recognition, versus what you name to one sector or one segment of a development. I mean, and Namo, it's not Narendra. It is, it is not Narendra Express, right? Namo can be Namo. So, I mean, you have to understand, everything is not about Modi. I mean,
Namo can be what?
Namo can be anything.
नहीं,
right?
अनुराग एक मिनट Namo can be what? जैसे कि क्या?
Can be Namo.
Tell me. जैसे कि क्या?
Namo हो सकता है ना? Namo क्यों नहीं? What is Namo in Sanskrit? What is Namo? Right? So,
Anurag, even you are laughing. Even you are laughing while saying this.
I'm just surprised by the comparison, Shreya. So apple to apple, it's not an apple to apple comparison. Now you have two former prime ministers, the torchbearer and the flagship leaders of the Congress party. I'm not against any political leaders, but I think this is what they've done. I think here, Mr. Modi, or even the government for that matter, is not talking, or the railway board for that matter, is not talking about erecting a tall statue of Narendra Modi ji, or maybe, giving him a Bharat Ratna or some other special award. No, I mean, the naming happens by a committee. It is the railway board that approves it. It is, the notification. There are committees that recommend, okay, let's name it, and people welcome it. Why don't we talk about the development that is done in the sector? Did we see this kind of infrastructure in the last 60 years? The question is, the Congress party or any other party for that matter needs to answer, is this train a historic initiative by the government of India? Is it symbolic to the development that India has seen, an unprecedented development? Is it not a technology revolution that is happening in the sector? Is it not for the people? Why don't we talk about all these things? you need to understand that it is not Mr. Narendra Modi that does everything. But if something is named Namo, even if it is after him, I think we should all be proud about it, because Vande Bharat Express is introduced an initiative of none other than the Prime Minister of India with this particular government. Why don't we fail to acknowledge that? We travel so extensively. I was there in Europe for the last 30
Achha,
days.
Tehseen,
I mean, I could not...
Yeah. Okay, Tehseen, I think the argument that Mr. Naidu is making is this, that this is admiration. It's sycophancy nahi hai. This is not self-glorification. This is just admiration for the man and what he's done for the country in the last 10 years.
At the onset, let me wish the Honorable Prime Minister of India a very happy birthday in advance. Tomorrow is his birthday. Let's wish him a long, healthy life and in service of our nation. But I do think this is a tad too much. If I would be the Prime Minister, I would be very, very embarrassed. I think these are sycophant IAS officers who want to butter up to the PMO. And I know that the PMO has a lot of these sycophant officers buttering up to them. So it seems more like that case. But yeah, not to say that the Honorable Prime Minister himself doesn't enjoy the attention. We've seen the suit that he wore with his own name on it, which was rightly criticized. We've seen the renaming of the stadium. But there are two things that I want to clarify. One, Mr. Naidu said, look, you know what, in Europe, you've seen trains like this. Look at the trains in India. Today, we should be proud. Yeah, but in trains in Europe, whether they're the bullet trains or the TGV train in France or wherever, they are not named after Macron or they're not named after Margaret Thatcher or John Major. It's not John Major train or it's not Margaret Thatcher train. So I think that is a tad over the top that it is a NaMo train. You can't justify a wrong that's happened in the past. And the BJP said, look, the Gandhis did it, the Congress did it, so we will do it. Then the BJP should have said in 2014, New India is exactly like old India. They promised us a new India. Now the justification can't be that the Congress did it. But I also want to put out two things. One, the Congress spokesperson spoke about Naiduji and about Indiraji conferring the Bharat Ratna. Neither of them conferred the Bharat Ratna upon themselves. I just want to clarify this. In both cases, President Rajendra Prasad and President V.V. Giri conferred it. In case of Rajendra Prasad, there's a complete statement that he read out in Rashtrapati Bhavan on why he was breaking protocol and doing it. In case of V.V. Giri, he wrote to the cabinet. Now, you see, the government is that of the president. People don't understand it, but the government is that of the president. So V.V. Giri actually, after the 71 war, wrote to the cabinet asking that it be done. And that letter is on record, and he took responsibility for it in public and in written. So in both these things, it is only after that that the government has come down and said the president cannot act on their own. But in both these cases, the president on record in writing and verbal saying we recommended it without the prime minister knowing. So in both cases, the prime ministers didn't do it. Was it right or wrong? That is debatable. But I'm telling you, this is what happened.
In this case, Tehseen, the prime minister can say that. Okay, but Tehseen, it's more of the same thing. In this case as well, the Prime Minister... अरे सुनो ना, नहीं, तो the same argument can be made. हमें नहीं पता था, बाबूज ने कर दिया. हम क्या करें इसमें?
Correct, but in this case,
who will buy it? Who will buy that argument?
I agree with you. So I'm saying two wrongs don't make a right. But Babus are not equivalent to the president of India. And by the way, in India, in New India, the president of India, whose government it is, she is not invited to the opening of the parliament, where her government sits. The parliament ultimately reports to the president. She is not invited for that. So in New India, everything is new. There are new benchmarks being set where Babus are more powerful or equivalent to presidents.
Anurag Naidu, I just want to ask you a simple question here. The fact is, while we can argue that hypocrisy ki seema hoti hai, look at the Congress is one to speak. They have XYZ number of stadiums and projects and hospitals and schemes named after their own prime ministers, etc., etc. Fact is, when Prime Minister Modi came to power 10 years ago, he said the BJP is a party with a difference, that I'm going to be a prime minister with a difference. I'm not going to do what the Congress is doing. But look at the Narendra Modi Stadium and now look at the renaming of the Vande Bharat trains. It seems he's doing exactly the same.
No, I think Tehseen mentioned...
I'll
tell you, Tehseen mentioned about a very good point. The President of India, yes, it's a party with a difference. I think the Prime Minister did what India never saw, a tribal woman as the President of India, a Dalit as a President of India. You have to give me examples, right? These are unprecedented examples. And also the train. Now, let's put this in focus. Ever since I grew up, since my childhood, Shreya, and let's all, agree to that. I mean, we all are in the same age bracket, and when you see every other infrastructure in this country, I've seen being named after Rajiv Gandhi or Indira Gandhi. Something. I don't want to demean their contribution to India. They have done remarkable contribution to the India. Mark my word, this remarkable. But every other airport is a Rajiv Gandhi airport. Even the people from the alliance who were the aviation minister, names after Rajiv Gandhi. I mean, Now you have to understand.
But now
I
the
can give
BJP
you
will not be
1,000 other
able to cite that example.
This is
But now the
absolutely
BJP will not be able to cite
why
that
not?
example.
It is- no,
I'm
it
going to
is-
have to wrap. Thank you very much. No, Mr. Naidu, I need to wrap because I know, guys, I know you have a lot to say, but
K.R. Narayanan was first Dalit president of India. K.R. Narayanan
Okay.
was Dalit president.
Listen, guys, I need to wrap because there's an update that is coming from Calcutta. Bhai, we'll carry on this debate some other time. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you, for joining us this evening. I'm sure everyone has a view on the discussion we've just had, and everyone is entitled to their view.